Hello everyone. Welcome to the first demo of GSoC 2018. We have Mayank here, who has been a student with sisters for the project PC Practice. So Mayank, you can start demonstration.
Yeah, so hi guys, thank you all for joining, and I'll be giving the final demo for PC Prep Kit. So about me, I am from Jaipur, India, and currently third year undergraduate at IIT Kanpur, India. Regarding my open source experience, I'll not say I was into too much of open source. I'll rate myself as a beginner before GSoC and only started contributing comprehensively as recent as January this year. So I'll tell you about my team structure. So Buddhi Prabha was the team admin and the mentor, and I had three more mentors, Shreyansh, Rajat, and Pavini, and I was the student. And interestingly, Shreyansh and Rajat were also GSoC students for the last year for the same project. So this also helped me quite a bit because they were quite aware of code base and all. And we had a great team communication, like almost daily we interacted in Slack. On Hangouts, we used to meet every Saturday from 1:30 to 2:30 IST, and I used to have one-to-one with two mentors every week. So why did I choose PC Prep Kit as my GSoC project? Yeah, the first time when I saw the idea, I was quite motivated to do more in this. I was familiar with Angular and Node.js because I had done some projects in college, and it had many interactive games, so that was also appealing. And since it involved chatbot, and I always was always fascinated by machine learning, so that was also a plus point. And then a great sisters community, as I mentioned, I was a beginner, so I was really helped at the beginning to make proposal and all. Very supportive community was there, and then I was very eager to contribute to open source. So about the importance of project, malaria, we all know, is a life-threatening disease. In 2016, like 1.216 million cases were there in 91 countries. Nearly half of the world population is at risk, and if you are able to diagnose this early, there will be less chance of a death. But even in the modern age, some world communities are unaware of it. And in these days, it's not only a health phenomena, but it affects countries' economics directly. And recently, there were some TED talks as well regarding food security that is a result of malaria. Yeah, but who will be using this app? So it can be used by anyone who want to learn about malaria, but it is primarily targeted for Peace Corps volunteers. When they'll be going for remote missions, it would help in educating them to prevent chances of getting affected by malaria. So about PC Prep Kit, so it is an app that teaches about various aspects of malaria. This is achieved by gamification, chatbot. So it covers almost all the aspects. What is malaria, how it is caused, how to prevent it, how to treat it. Its current tech stack is this Angular 6 on top of Node.js. For database, we use MySQL with SQLize ORM. And for the chatbot, I use Rasaku that is built on top of TensorFlow. And for testing, we use Karma and Mocha. So project features, currently the application has 4 stages and 10 mini games activities. Activities have multiple levels wherever possible. There is a badge based ranking system in leaderboard. Front end and UI features are there that make user play each and every activity that I'll illustrate in the demo. And a great thing about this application is not a single thing is hard coded. So everything we fetch from a JSON file. So in future, if someone wants to change, you'll just have to change that JSON file. So not at all hard coded. And it currently has a Travis bill that is depending on front end and back end tests. And recently a full-fledged chatbot built on top of Rasa using very recent NLP developments. Yeah, so now I'll start with accomplishments with demo. So first, initially, I had to upgrade from the Angular 4, but it to Angular 6. Since there is a difference of two major versions, so many modules have had deprecated. So I had to replace like lots of old modules with new ones. And yeah, so this was after. So it was upgraded to Angular 6, and also initially tests were failing. So it was a screenshot of 11th May, and then currently like tests are passing. So tests have increased, and both Karma and Muka tests are passing. So now I'll give the demo for the game Stop the Breed. So what this game is about, the user has to select the potential breeding grounds for mosquito. So he just hovers over the object become highlighted or have a red border, and they select it. So they also get a descriptive message like why, what they eliminated, and why it should be eliminated. So this was the first game, and the great thing about this game is it's very configurable. So from the background image to all the objects to their positions, it is stored in a PS file. So in future, everything can be changed in a very short period of time. This was the game Stop the Breed, and then next game was the Stride Against Malaria game. So this is about various prevent myths that are prevalent in society regarding prevention of malaria. So this tackles that. Yeah. So here there are different objects, and you ask related myth questions that is it a myth or not. So say he reaches there, we know it's a myth, so I'll mark it as false, and he moves forward. So I'll mark it true, and I'll move forward. It's true, so I'll move forward. And since I know it's true, but say let's make it false, so he'll reach back to his initial position. Yeah. And also like all the objects are randomized, so when you refresh it, you will always end up getting new set of objects with different positions. Yeah, this was the game. And then we needed a component with which will enable user to update his profile. So I'll illustrate that. So say he wants to update his name, and he wants to update his profile. So it gets updated, the name got updated and all, and he got a success message. Then there was a brand guide updation because over a period of 1 year, some new brand guidelines had been introduced, so I had to change logo. So this is one of the cases where I changed. Then enhancements in top and side navbar, as you see, it's a screenshot from last year. So we had this design, and I noticed that the top navbar space is quite underutilized, and you can move things like info kit there. So currently, if you see, this is the UI. So I have many icons there, icons floating there, and like the current active stage is getting highlighted with a white background and all. So enhancements in top and side nav are done. And then there was performance display components that informs the user about how like he has completed the activity and what he can do next. And in couple of next slides, I'll might use command line to make changes. That is just to ensure that I'm playing that activity for the first time, because you only get that message when you complete the activity for the first time. And also we have security enhancement that doesn't allow you to play the activities before completing activities before them. So I might use command line a couple of times, that is just to unlock the activities. Yeah. So let us, I, it is going backwards, so I'm, so now I can go to, yeah. So he has not completed this activity before, and when he completes it, so he gets a message dialog, that he has completed this activity and he can move forward to the new activity. Can watch toolkit or he can go to dashboard. And also this component is very dynamic. We just change this thing here and all these URLs. So you just need to make this component once. And then we also have badge functionality. So for this also, like this is given when you complete last activity of a stage. So I need to quickly move to the last activity. So we go. So here we it's a puzzle game. So we can choose an image. So for demonstration, I had decreased the puzzle difficulty so that I can do it quickly. So as you can see, the badge appears and he has earned a learner badge and also a performance display component. And also he can watch his badges in InfoKit. So since when you start, you have a beginner badge and then you have a learner badge. So this tells, so that's the message to keep him going. Then, so what happens when he completes all the activities? So we decided to give award him with the certificate. So I had to make a certificate component. So for this also, I need to quickly navigate to the last activity. So this is currently the last activity, so I'll have to finish it. Yeah. So there we go. So he is awarded obviously a badge because it was the last activity and a certificate. So this was about the certificate component. Then there were security enhancements. So the reason why I'm doing again on command line because we are not allowing user to play future activities before he's completing the activities before that. So let's read that. So say he is at first level. Yeah. So now he say he wants to play Malaria 101, so he'll not be able to play those games. And say he wants to play these games, he'll not be able to play. And also like earlier, I was taking URL here, so I'll not be able to access because I have not completed activities before that. And also had to do this UI. So like when you have not played that activity, so it is it is locked, and only when you complete previous stage. So this instead of this unlock thing, colored thing comes. And then I had to improve the registration component. So this is a snapshot from last year. So I had to improve its design. Yeah. So I used material design and also like the way. So I also improved the rejects and the warnings that you get when your password is incorrect and all. And also similar things like forgot password. So these were also changed so that everything is in common theme. And then there was no email verification. Earlier we used to have a node email verifier, so that was inaccurate. Quite often it was not verifying emails correctly. So I'll demo give the demo of email verification thing. So I have received a mail. Yeah, there we go. I have received a mail, and it's verified. So I can now log in. So I can log in now. I also added this transaction rollback thing. So what this does is, earlier when one of the things failed, for example, we wanted to make a table and insert a value into activity progress. So if that is not done, and we have already added the entry into InfoKit, but that is not the ideal. If we want everything to happen at once, or nothing should happen. So when even one of the promise fail, everything is rolled back. So this was a very important thing that was done. And then I had to implement a chatbot. So initially I went ahead to and try to implement. There was a paper from Google about neural conversational model. So as you can see on the left, it had this output against some test dialogue. So first of all, it was sometimes not accurate, and then we only were interested in answering malaria specific queries. So since it was based on movie dialogue corpus, so that was also not quite useful. So we went ahead, and since we wanted a retrieval model, so we decided to move ahead with Rasa. For the chatbot, it involved training the model, and we also circulated a doc to the community at what could be the possible sentences for asking for something. Then this feature navigation to different parts is like, I'll give the demo of it. And then earlier we were using dialog flow, but now we had moved to Rasa. So I had to, with the help of REST APIs and Angular services, I had to integrate it with the current application. So for the bot, we can just ask simple question at the beginning. So these are the basic questions. And then about the navigation to different activities is like, when say he's asking something about malaria, and our application has already some activities related to it. So it would be wonderful if you're able to suggest those activities to the user. So say I ask him, as you see, it gives relevant links, and we can also ask. And then there was a need, like, if what if someone wanted to know like what medicine he should take to prevent malaria and all. So for that, say I ask. So it will ask your gender, and then it will ask your age. So it gives this set. So I have a Python function which takes these inputs, and then it suggests you the medicine. And for example, if I ask this question a different way, and say if I responded by email, So now earlier for the male it was not asking the pregnancy, but for the female it is asking. So it is taking care of what the user had earlier said. So say I say yes, and I tell my age is 5. So now it only suggests 2 medicines. So earlier, if you see, like it had suggested 5 medicines, but since the person is pregnant and his age is less, so he only got 2 medicines. And we can also ask for safety of individual medicines. So say I ask it again asks my age. It responds that it is safe. But doxycycline is one medicine that is not safe for minors. So say if I want to ask about that. Yeah. And say I suggest I enter my gender as other, and then I say I'm a minor. So it says because I'm a minor, so this medicine is not safe and also suggests me alternatives. So these were like various intents and actions that we can take from this part. And also like it does not respond with always one answer. Like if you ask the same thing again and again, it will try to give a different response. So say if I say bye, so there's a set like around 4 to 5 dialogues that always selects randomly from that. So it will not be you'll be getting the same response every time. There it will be selected from a random set. So this is like chatbot. So it can be improved a lot. It can be improved. And and then I had to make another game that is Mosquito Assassinator. And I'll have to again unlock that game. Or play that game. Yeah, so this is like quite a fun and interactive game. So here we aim to remove these mosquitoes using both mechanism of defense, both defense mechanisms. So with time, number of mosquitoes increase and their speeds also increase. So you have to protect the man with the help of net. So yeah, my health decreases, and so when his health is 0, so he's removed. I earn a star when I remove a mosquito. So yeah, the speed is increasing. So there is good chance that I might lose the game. I think I should take the health pill. So 2 stars you can increase your health, and I can survive for a longer period of time. Yes, only 2 mosquitoes are remaining. Yeah. So I won that game. Once all the mosquitoes are removed, you win the game. And then I had to implement the leaderboard. So since we expected in future many players will be playing, so it should be like they should get scores and they should get a good feeling of competing with each other. And we are ranking them based on their badge. So for example, one is in one what's first stage and the second player is in third stage. So Naturally, player second has played more activities and he'll have more points. But doing this badge wise, like only ranks a user in his badge group. So let us also include one more user so that we can compare better. Yeah. So if you see, they both have 0 points, and I am in the second spot. So if I complete this activity, yeah. So I got a success message again, and I have my points raised to 100. So it will be like very more number of users will be there, so they'll be ranked based on their score. And then since in this application we are using information from various sources, so it was necessary to have something so in case we make certain errors to tell that we may not be responsible and to cite sources as well. So we decided to have a disclaimer page. It tells about all the information and how errors can be rectified and different sources that were used. And then this was the task because we were having many games where there was possibility of multiple levels. So we decided that we should have multiple levels wherever possible. So I did this for 8 activities, and I'll give the demo of like how I increased the level. So for this, I will need to, yeah, I'm unlocking all the activities so I can give demo for all. This will be the first activity. So since it's a puzzle game, so here it depends on. So for level one, you can see like it only divides into 4 parts. Say I'm going to level three, so it has more number of divisions. Yeah, and here there are number of elements present in the tray, and I need to move them to those do's and don'ts column. So with more level, you will have more number of elements here, and also one enhancement that I did to this activity that earlier, when we say have this thing here, you are not able to change a preference. So I could not make an option that I had already entered into. I couldn't move it to don'ts, but now we can do that. And we also have a submit button and a reset button as well now. So it's a quiz game. So basically here difficulty is the number of questions you have to attempt. So for the level one, you will be attempting 4 questions, and for level three, you will attempt more questions. Yeah, so you attempt more questions with increasing level. And here it is a matching activity. So here with levels, you have different set of things to choose from. So for level 2 you have right description, and for level 1 you have right side effects. And for this, the higher the levels are, the more will be number of squares, so naturally the difficulty would increase, and so on. Let us go here. Yeah. So for level 1 you have this. For level 2 you'll have a different background image and with new set of objects to choose from. So since I had designed this activity in such a way that you'd only be needing a configuration file. So for level 2 I just need to change that configuration file and the game is now for level 2. Similarly for that straight against game. Yeah, so here the number level more higher level means that you have more objects and naturally you will be asked more questions. And also and throughout the activities where we have increased levels, we are required to slip off this level navigation component. So this basically takes the input of the activity and it automatically fetches the number of levels it has. So very like it is very scalable thing. And then I had to work on application caching. So this will what it does it the first time you log into this application, every static thing will be cached. So from the next time, unless there is an update posted by the developer, he'll be getting the thing from the cached version. And this was done with Angular Service Workers. So to illustrate this, I'll need to make a production build because caching works only in production build. So I'll make a production build and I have set optimization is false just to decrease the time it takes to build. Yeah, so we have now the production build and we should restart our node server so that we are serving the build version. So yeah, since I restarted my node server, so I need to sign in again. Yeah. So we can see like what things are getting cached. So we are using the service worker which is active. It has this manifest file, so it stores all these icons. And in the caching, we are storing everything like the whole of the index.html, favicons, all JavaScript files. They're all being cached. But the natural question comes: what happens when the developer pushes an update? So I'll push an update and demonstrate how this works. So say it is a title that appearing as PC Prep Kit top. So I add hi before it, and I again build it. Yeah. So say in the future when he again loads the application. Yeah. So he has not high. So we have added high before the PC prep kit, but that is not appearing. So it is fetching from the cached version, and it is saying that the new version is available. That is, new thing has been recognized by the service worker. So we can click on update, and we see high now. So it the first priority that it looks for the cached version, and if there is a change from the previous version, it will notify the user. So these were like all the accomplishments and the demo related to them. And challenges, I'll say initially I faced like in my coding period, like to upgrade from Angular 4 to 6, it was not an easy task because I had to change different modules. Many tests were failing, so I had to pass them. And since our application is very largely based on data like images and questions and all, so you always you always need to find open source content for training the bot. Why it took time and why it was like getting challenging because did not have an open source dialog corpus like I demonstrated that for the movie dialog corpus. If we had that thing, so it would have been done pretty quickly. And like meeting deadlines was something new for me. I was not someone who will do that. For the future opportunities, a lot can be done. Like current bot accuracy 70%. When you be adding more data, more dialogues to it, its accuracy is only going to increase. More scenarios can be added to bot conversation and this thing. So like there are some areas where there is drug resistance. So some drugs that we recommend him, they might not work. So to ensure that, we might take into account the location of the user and take the decisions accordingly. So the bot will decide. So say some of the medicines have drug resistance, so they'll not be recommended by the bot. And then we may shift from MySQL to NoSQL, because like lot and lot of people they're shifting to NoSQL databases like MongoDB and all, because they're very easy to work with. Mook and Kubernetes coverage can be increased. Yeah. And automated link checking. So this will enable, before we send a PR, most of the lint errors and coding style errors, they are rectified before we are committing, before you are pushing for the review. For the backend code, it is done in very basic manner. So we have some bit of repetitions there, so we can implement more object-oriented design patterns. We can of course add more games. The application is only going to become more interactive, and lots of Angular people and web dev people are really liking the concept of reactive paradigm. So in Angular, we can implement this using NGRX. For the takeaways, really, I learned a lot in these 3 months. First of all, like to build those games, it developed my logic. Then my mentors would agree, like I did not have good UI UX sense, so it improved with time. I learned testing. I never did testing before, and I was fascinated for machine learning. So this project provided me opportunity to learn that. I learned to document things. I learned various coding practices. So lots of PR reviews really helped. I became efficient in managing work, like deadlines, and I became confident writing skills. So blogs that I wrote, they really helped, and became a better communicator. So every week we used to have meetings and one-to-one. So I guess I became good communicator, and I learned the open source workflow. So that was really nice. So overall experience, I'll say that these 3 months were the best learning phase of my life. Enjoyed every day of it. Thanks to mentors, like so many comments used to be in the PR, so they were so patient at the beginning, and I'm sure like this would be the beginning of my open source development career. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hey, Mayank, I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a way to train the bot about realistic scenarios? Because you did a 5-year-old pregnant child, and I was wondering like how could you increase the intelligence of the doctor chat feature in that way?
Yeah, so we can have like more functions that can check. So if both things are contradictory, like pregnant and five, so he may respond in different ways. So this can be done. Yeah, this can be done with more training and all.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up?
I have a general question for Maya. Um, what message you have for potential GSoCers in the coming years?
For the potential contributors that will be coming.
Yes, and
Yeah,
specifically for GSoCers.
yeah. For the GSOC, as I mentioned, like various issues that can be done. So like lot of code refactoring, and especially in the backend, they can do. And for the very beginning, like they can work a lot on the bot because it can be improved. And like as me mentioned, there are some scenarios that are need it to be taken care of. And so for the beginning, even if the user is not knowing machine learning. So I have tried to document it in such a way so it will be quite easy to start with. So he just had to write some commands on his command line and the bot will work. So he can work out like how I can do more with it, how I can tweak some parameters to improve its accuracy. So like for the newcomers, they can really work on the bot, they can work on tests, they can work on overall infrastructure. So yeah.
Thank,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, everyone. I'll go ahead and stop the broadcast. Thank you all for watching or joining if you watched on YouTube.